Welcome back to the NRL Punters Weekly Digest, your one-stop shop for everything you need to know leading into this week's NRL matches. This is our Round 11 preview / team list / whatever you want to call it edition of the NRL Punters Weekly Digest. And we have a lot to unpack in this episode and also in a future episode because we are coming off Magic Round. And Magic Round is a magical round of the year. But in this particular Magic Round, which is the second inaugural Magic Round because we didn't have one last year as a result of COVID, a lot happened. A lot happened to the effect of 3 player send-offs and about 1 million sin bins. And that's because the NRL introduced their crackdown on head-high tackles via their new rule interpretations, which we'll touch on a little bit in this episode, but mainly in an episode I'll be releasing in a day or two where I will basically unpack my thoughts on the new rule interpretations. Let's get on with the show, and let's just start with my tips from last week. Now, I've got to give myself a bit of a pat on the back here, give myself a bit of a big up, like one of these ones, because I tipped 7 from 8. And that's my best tipping for the year so far. I haven't tipped 8 from 8. I would have tipped 8 from 8 if the Knights did their job, but unfortunately they lost. I'll take 7 from 7. How'd you go? Let me know in the comments below. Let's get on to our first game of the round, which is from Queensland Country Bank Stadium, which is a beautiful stadium that I am proud to say I went to the very first game of round 1 last year when they played the Broncos. That's when Broncos were on that 2-game winning streak before COVID hit and they were looking like world beaters, and they came back and they looked like they were world beaten. Cowboys are taking on the Knights. Cowboys will last start losers against the Roosters. Stats-wise, there wasn't really much separating the two teams. In the end, it was really just the Roosters that got away with it. Cowboys were good enough to capitalise on the sin binning of Satili Tupanua in the 29th minute. They scored 2 tries in that period, but they didn't really do much else in the rest of that game, unfortunately for them. For the Knights, they were very disappointing in that last start, going down 18-36 against the Tigers. They only completed about 69%. It's that old adage, you're not going to win footy games when you're completing at that kind of rate. Of course not. They were very, very poor. For the Cowboys this week, Cohen Hess returns from concussion and he replaces Tom Gilbert in the back row. Helam Lukey debuts from the bench. I haven't seen this kid play before, but I'm going to assume he's a good prospect if he's starting for the Cowboys. For the Knights, Braden Musgrove replaces the injured Heimel Hunt on the wing. In the head-to-head market, you'll get $1.55 for the Cows, $2.40 for the Knights, or as we should probably call them at the moment, the Squires, because they're playing like Squires and not like Knights. My tip in this game is the Cowboys by 4. Friday night from Central Coast Stadium, which is the spiritual home of the New Zealand Warriors whilst they remain in Australia until, I guess, soonish. I guess they're allowed to go home soonish, so good on them. Warriors take on the Tigers. Warriors last start losers against the Eels. They went down 18-34. They were pretty much done by half time. The Eels had them on the ropes at 24-6 at the 40-minute mark. Reece Walsh was again very, very impressive this game coming off the bench. In 46 minutes, Brisbane Broncos, are you listening? This is another very, very talented youngster you let go. In 46 minutes of NRL game time, he had 159 run meters, a try, 3 line breaks, and a line break assist. Are you listening, Brisbane? Sorry. I'll let up on Brisbane. I just care, You're not my team, but I care because I care about all the teams. I want to see you do well. For the Tigers, well, they upset the Knights 36-18. Adam Dewey, I love this guy. I loved the signing when it happened. I think he's their best player. He is their best player as far as I'm concerned. Prove me wrong. Maybe Dane Lowry's up there with him. I don't know. This guy's played 5'8" fullback and from centre this week, Mr. Fix-It we'll call him, scored 2 tries and had a try assist. So he continues to progress and be a very, very good prospect for the Tigers in an otherwise kind of disappointing season. For the Warriors this week, Jack Murchie starts in the back row for Bailey Sirinen, who's out with a knee injury, and Marcelo Montoya replaces Rocco Berry, who's out with concussion on the wing. No changes for the Tigers. In the head-to-head market, you'll get $1.50 for the Warriors, which I think is quite fair. $2.55 for the Tigers. If you like them, good value, I guess. Warriors by 10 is my tip in this game. Second Friday night game sees the Sharks take on the Dragons in the local Rugby League derby from Netstrata Jubilee Stadium. Sharks last start loses against the Rabbitohs 22-32. There was a point there in the second half where they were mounting a comeback, but there was a really late contentious penalty awarded to the Rabbitohs against Chad Townsend, which kind of took the wind out of their sails, and the Rabbitohs went on with it from there. The Dragons, they got flogged last week, 18-44. Interestingly enough, they were only down 14-10 at halftime. And this was with only 12 players because Fui Maono had been sent off in the 12th minute. So they were down to 12 players. They'd played admirably and defended admirably against a Storm outfit, admittedly missing players, missing star players. Harry Grant, Cam Munster wasn't playing. I think was Brandon Smith out also? I believe so. They were all out, and you know they'd done a really good job up into the halfway mark, but then Nico Hines just opened the game up and showed the NRL open market that, hey, if you're looking for a premier fullback, I'm your guy. I'm not a bench player. I should be starting every week. He was absolutely outstanding. For the Sharks, in terms of team changes, there are none for them, which I guess is a luxury at this time of year. It definitely is a luxury at this time of year. For the Dragons, there are so many changes. I'm not going to list them because they've got 1 million players suspended and injured. So that's why I put the team lists up on the screen so you can read them for yourself. Just press pause if you need to take some time, whatever. In the head-to-head market, you'll get $1.53 for the Sharks. $2.45 for the Dragons. I think those odds should be a little bit closer, to be honest. I think that they're a little bit blown out there. I'd have them probably, I'd have the Sharks at maybe $1.60, $1.70, and I would have the Dragons at probably $2.20, something like that. Anyway, I don't make the odds. Great odds for the Dragons if you think they can win with all those players out. My tip in this game is the Sharks by 4, so still to keep it close. It is a local derby after all. There's a lot of passion in these sorts of games. First Saturday game comes to us from Cbus Super Stadium where the Titans take on the Bulldogs. Titans last start losers to the Panthers. They got their bums handed to them. 12-48. They were down 30-0 at halftime. They pulled back a couple of tries in the second half. Whoop-de-doo. I mean, what do you do against the Panthers? Look, the Titans weren't great, but it wasn't the worst performance by them. It really came down to how well the Panthers went, and they just couldn't go the distance with them. It was really that simple. Dogs just went down to the Raiders 18-20. Raiders just got away with that one. I guess the Bulldogs could, in some ways, be buoyed by that performance in that they were taking on a Premiership heavyweight. A team that is supposed to be a Premiership heavyweight, but certainly are not wearing. They're not wearing their Premiership contender outfits at the moment. They're kind of they've borrowed something off the Broncos. I don't know, but they should be buoyed by that performance, and they should go into this game with a bit of confidence. In the head-to-head market, you'll get $1.09. Oh, sorry, I forgot to talk about team changes. Oh, I got too quick for my boots here. For the Titans, the suspended pairing of Herman Esse and Tyrone Peachy, cited by the judiciary on the weekend, are replaced by Tino Fa'asua Maliawi and Mo Fotuaika at lock and prop, respectively, and Sam Stone and Aaron Clark come onto the bench. For the Doggies, Nick Meaney replaces Josh Papali'i's son, Tui Katoa, on the wing. That's probably not a good joke because he did hit him high and he's concussed as a result, can't play. So I apologize, but you're his son. What can I say? Sorry. So Nick Meaney replaces Tui Katoa on the wing. And debutant Aaron Shoop goes to the centres. Dylan Napa returns from injury via the bench in place of Offa Iki Ogden. In the head-to-head market, you'll get $1.19 for the Titans, $4.50 for the Dogs. I'm tipping the Titans by 8. Roosters Broncos from the SCG at 5:30 p.m. in what would traditionally be a blockbuster contest from the traditional home of rugby league in this country. But unfortunately, the 2021 version of the Brisbane Broncos just really doesn't meet the criteria for this to be a blockbuster contest. Roosters will last start winners against the Cowboys 30-16. Nothing to really rave on about this game. It was just a game that, the good sides win, and they got away with the win. Angus Crichton and Daniel Tupou bagged doubles in this game, so I guess those were highlights of sorts. For the Broncos, they got their butts handed to them 6-50 against the Sea Eagles in front of their home audience in Magic Round, which is the showpiece of the NRL during the regular season, not including, obviously, State of Origin, which we'll say that's under the ARL banner, so it doesn't count. But the showpiece event in your hometown, and you put up that performance. Here are some stats for you to ponder on. The Broncos conceded 42 tackle breaks to 18, 8 line breaks to 3, and missed 42 tackles to 18. In the head-to-head market, you'll get $1.09 for the Roosters and $7 for the Broncos. In terms of team changes, none for the Roosters. Luxury to have at this time of year. I know I say that a lot, but I mean it. It is a luxury to have at this time of year. For the Broncos, some weird changes. So Milf got punted again, and he's replaced by Albert Kelly, who hasn't played in the NRL for 7 years. So it'll be he and Tyson Gamble in the halves. Keenan Palacia will debut in the back row. And my namesake, because I am also a Hetherington, Kobe Hetherington, no relation of mine as far as I know, he will debut from the bench, but I wish him well because he's the Hetherington and Hetherington stick together. So go well, son. My tip in this game is Roosters by 30. If you're looking for a 30-plus bet, I think it's this game. Just FYI. Or it could be the next game. As my mighty Canberra Raiders, you'll notice I'm wearing their jersey because I've got to rep the lime green this round. We won a game. We broke the losing streak. I've got to wear the jersey. I've got to do my boys proud. And this is the 2021 Heritage jersey, which I enjoy quite a bit. If I'm repeating myself right now, can you let me know in the comments section below? I've had to do like 12 takes because I came home from work. I'll tell you a short story, okay? So I went to record this episode this morning. I record the episode. I'm like, this is beautiful. I've just woken up. I'm fresh as a daisy. I knocked it out of the effing park, right? And then I go to my camera to turn it off, and guess what? It's already turned off because it ran out of battery. So I might be repeating myself here and not realizing because I've done a million takes. This is the take. That's the closer. Okay, so even if I make mistakes here, I don't care. This is anyway, whatever. Let's get on with it. Raiders last start winners, 20-18 against the Bulldogs. I guess major talking points out of that contest was the suspensions to Papali'i for three games, White and Hodgson for 1 game each. I will say I really liked Hodgson coming on at lock and his combination with the halves. Especially there was a couple of tries on that left-hand side where balls went through hands. It looked really, really crisp and nice. I like the idea of having Josh Hodgson starting at lock potentially. So we'll see what Sticky does with that. For the Storm, it was a Nico Hines masterclass. The kid was everywhere. He was awesome. Josh Adokar scored a hat-trick. Not too much else to say about that game. That was just the Storm, just the best team of the NRL era, just going through the motions as they do, and as any good team really should. Team list wise, I should say, for the Raiders, Dynamis Louis and Ryan Sutton come back into the side. Very welcome additions there. Ryan Sutton in particular, and shout out to Dynamis Louis. He's one of those. He's one of those players. It's like you don't know what you got till he's gone. When he's not in the side, I don't know. I can't put my finger on it. There's a predictability about Dynamis Louis' play. I know that sounds like I'm bagging him, but I'm not. There's a predictability about his play. You know what you're going to get. He doesn't do anything fancy, but he does everything he needs to do right. And when he's not there, sometimes I feel like we don't look as polished. So I'm really happy to see him back in the side, especially Ryan Sutton, who's arguably been our best forward of the year. I'll say he has been our best forward of the year. Young halfback Brad Schneider, who I haven't actually seen play at New South Wales Cup level. He's going to debut from the bench. That's going to be really interesting to see. Prospect of the future, apparently. For the Storm, Chris Lewis will partner Jerome Hughes in the halves. That's going to be an interesting one to watch. I don't think I've seen Chris Lewis play in the halves before. Head-to-head odds in this game, $5.75 for the Raiders, $1.13 for the Storm. It's fair. It's fair. If the Raiders were paying $9, I wouldn't complain. My tip in this game is the Storm to go by 24. Obviously, I don't want that result, but I've got to be realistic. I think it's looking like a likelihood. But I believe in my men in green, and I bleed green, so let's keep it, keep it respectable. That would be nice. Okay. First Sunday game sees the Rabbitohs take on the Panthers from Apex Oval at Dubbo. So another NRL game being taken out to the country, which I love because the country is a huge breeding ground of rugby league talent for this competition. So it's very important that we give some back to those communities and we let the youngsters, see the stars, in their locality. So it gives them something to strive towards. So really good work for those teams bringing this clash there. Both teams will last start winners. Rabbitohs beat the Sharks. Benji Marshall had some just vintage floating bullet passes. That's kind of just some great cutout balls that I had to watch on replay a couple of times because they were just so beautiful. And it's great to see a 36-year-old legend of our game, living legend of our game, still doing his thing in what would most likely be his last game in the NRL, and he'll still do it. He'll still put points on you. He'll still make you look a fool. I love watching Benji play every week. For the Panthers, Nathan Cleary is the best player in the competition. If you disagree with me, let me know in the comments section. I mean, if it's not him, it's Tom Trbojevic. But honestly, Nathan Cleary, there's nothing this guy can't do. He scored 3 tries. He had 2 try assists, 3 line breaks, and 2 line break assists. I think he set a record in KFC Supercoach scoring. I have him as my captain every week because I think you're a dead set idiot if you don't. I got 450 odd points or whatever it was. It was just ridiculous. But the guy I was playing also had Nathan Cleary and as his captain. So it kind of ruled each other out there, negated my score against his, and he beat me anyway. So anyway, it was all for nothing. But Nathan Cleary, I love watching this kid play every week. He's so good. I can't. I'll stop frothing over him. All right, let's move on. For the Rabbits, Latrell returns, which is a huge boost for them, playing the Panthers this week, the best team in the competition, and he returns to his favoured fullback position with Cody Walker returning to 5'8", and Benji returning to the bench. Josh Mansour returns to the side. I don't remember when he was last in the side. I think it's towards the start of the season. He replaces Tane Milne on the wing. For the Panthers, Kurt Capewell returns. Big boost for them. One of the best back rows in the competition at the moment, arguably. He pushes Liam Martin to the bench, who's been outstanding for the Panthers. Don't they have a wealth of talent? It's really, really, really unfair. And Jermaine Hopgood, as a result, is forced out of the side. In the head-to-head stakes, you'll get $3.60 for the Bunnies, which, if you're expecting a Panthers loss at some point in time, it could be this week, and those are really juicy odds. I don't see it happening. You'll get $1.28 for the Panthers. And my tip in this game is the Panthers to win by 18. Last game of the round, which is the game of the round for mine, the Parramatta Eels take on the Manly Warringah Sea Eagles from Bankwest Stadium at 4:05 p.m. This is going to be a crackerjack game. If you're only going to watch your side and it's not either of these two sides and another game this round, make sure it's this game, because we could well be watching two of the prelim final teams battling it out in this one. I think both these teams, if they can stay injury-free and maintain that form, they will be in prelims this year. Honestly, that's how much esteem I have for these two sides. Both last start winners, obviously. Eels won 34-18. There was a really lovely moment at the end of the game where Coach Brad Arthur's in tears and he gives his son, Jacob Arthur, who debuted in the halves, a hug, and he's just, it was beautiful. You could tell that he'd just taken his coach's cap off just for a moment, just to be the dad, and it was a really beautiful moment. That was my highlight of that game. It was seeing that, because that brings the humanity to our game, and it really reinforces, why we love this sport. It's more than what you see on the field. It's the players, it's the coaches, it's the administrators, it's the community, it's everything. It's really good. For the Sea Eagles, well, I mean, they put on a clinic against the Broncos. Jason Saab, who started the year in disappointing fashion, and I expected more from him because I certainly rated him when he was at the Dragons. He has really come on leaps and bounds. I think it kind of coincides with when Tommy Turbo came back into the team too, but he scored another 2 tries. He looks like a try-scoring machine, and he looks to be, a top prospect on the wing for the next decade. In terms of team changes for the Eels, Joey Lussick replaces Ray Stone on the bench. And for the Sea Eagles, Cade Cust replaces Kieran Foran at 5'8". Kieran Foran's out for a few weeks with a broken hand. Although I am hearing some late mail that Josh Schuster may play 5'8" instead. I guess we'll kind of monitor that situation as it plays out. We might not even know till game day, to be honest. In the head-to-head market, I don't agree with these odds at all. They should be as close as they can be, just slightly favouring the Eels. You'll get $1.42 for the Eels, $2.80 for the Sea Eagles. I think they're almost close to being neck and neck. But hey, if you like the Sea Eagles, there's some damn good value there at $2.80. I'm tipping the Eels to win by 1 point, but this one could go either way. That's been the show for this week. Look out for my best bet segment, as well as my It's Time to Talk About segment this week. I have at least one coming for you, possibly two. I don't want to give it. I've already told you the first one is going to be to do with the new head-high tackle interpretations. I've got another one in the works too, possibly. We'll see how we go, how I go time-wise. If you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, please do me a favor. Please subscribe and turn on your notifications so you can stay in the loop of all my content. And if you like this content, if you like this video, please give me a like. And share your thoughts in the comments section. I've been getting some really good discussion happening at the moment, particularly around my State of Origin team list video, or predicted team list video that I put out about a month and a bit ago now. A lot of good dialogue there. It's really good to hear your comments and to be able to interact with you. I really appreciate it. I'll have some new State of Origin predicted team list videos coming out closer to the naming of the Origin 1 sides, obviously factoring any suspensions or injuries and also form. That's been our episode for this week. So I'll see you in the next videos.